Hello,
Don't do
everybody.
it.
Welcome. Happy Tuesday. It's... How do we...
Panic.
I don't... It's been so long. I don't know how to do anything anymore. What do we even do here? Do we... Are we supposed to juggle? Is that a thing? I don't...
Welcome to Top Legends. Damn it!
Quick, Kurtis, pull a rabbit out of your hat.
Got nothing.
Shit. Okay, well,
Got nothing.
Quick, Jason, pull a hat out of your rabbit.
I got a cat.
I clearly am in the nothing zone. I might be in the Matrix. I don't know. If I wish hard enough.
Yeah, yeah. Over the break, we banished Jason to the
I
Phantom
was just
Zone,
gonna say
so,
we did trap Jason in that flat dimension where Superman's villains go.
Yeah, yeah,
Jason
the
is in the
Phantom Zone. He's in the Phantom Zone.
So yes, it's been a few weeks. For those of you who have been missing us, as well as Scooter the Celestial Weasel, I took a couple of weeks off. I don't know that any type of announcement was made or anything like that. My wife got the old Rona. She's okay now. Don't worry. But that was a thing for a few weeks, so I had to take some time off to help take care of her and just keep life in order. Jason is yep. Perfect.
Nope,
Perfect.
didn't work. Yep.
So we
Don't worry about it.
Well, you successfully Jasoned
it. Welcome to the first official episode of Delve Requisite in 2021. 2021, things are still terrible, but getting less terrible. Let's play D&D, for the love of God. Thank you to Little Dragon Corp. Thank you to Cardboard Castle, ! CGC, or ! Little Dragon in chat for a link to our sponsors' websites. Go buy things from them. They're the best, and we love them. You can use our code PROBONUS at checkout with Little Dragon Corp if you want to buy some dice to get 10% off your order. And you should do that, because I said so. Do it.
Do it now.
When we left off, you guys were well on your way, traveling north through the Kingdom of Mithlande, which is sort of behind and beneath me on our map here. Heading north up towards, eventually, the Volandan city of Volranheim, which is directly above my head here. You have taken a job from the Ordinum Libri, which is bringing you up in that direction. So you have set off overland with your cart, with Henrietta, your noble steed, with your other noble steed, Dr. Strongfast. And with your sort of pseudo captive, you're not really sure what your relationship with her is at this point. The mercenary who you guys took in with you from your little forest adventure, and have been sort of bringing along with her, with Walter sort of stating that he intends to do something related to Moxco in order to sort of allow her to make recompense for her the contract that she had taken, and in exchange for sparing her life, basically. The very last thing that we did before our little break began, you guys had stopped in a roadside tavern, and Ozrius had shared a little bit of his sort of backstory with you guys. I remember correctly, Ozrius, you kind of told the lads that you're sort of traveling around the world looking for answers to sort of a lot of questions that you have just about some things in your backstory. Revealing to them
since I left the group
that your entire clan, your people, had been killed mysteriously some time ago. You're kind of on a quest to find answers about that event. I do believe in the process you turned the hearth in the tavern green briefly.
Yes, turn the.
Mess everybody's cameras up on chat here, and I am going to. We're just going to tell GroovyBot to just hush it on up a little bit.
Just chill a little bit.
GroovyBot was feeling a little too.
Yeah, GroovyBot was real battle music-y.
GroovyBot was real battle music-y. We're going to tell GroovyBot to chill the hell out for a second, and then we'll fix everybody's cameras. So, I think the best way to handle this, considering it's been it's kind of a jarring period of time has intervened for us as players. Let us fast forward a little bit to several weeks after that last scene that we saw in the tavern. You guys have been traveling, continuing to make your way north, up through Mithranda's lands, and heading for eventually Voland. But as see on our world map here, if I shift it a little bit, in order to get to Voland, you do have to cross through the pass, the Ujir Mountains, which is Dwarven territory. The Kingdom of Kras'Udur technically has dominion over this entire region, and there is a single pass through the Ujir Mountains that connects Voland and the remainder of the continent below. The dwarves have long relegated travel through their domain, through this single area. It is well known that the dwarves do watch over this pass, keep an eye on the road to make sure there is no types of funny business, but they largely do so from, it is rumored, either concealed encampments, concealed structures in the very rocks and cliff faces of the mountain range themselves, or from some other hidden vantage point, as it is very rare that the dwarves actually reveal themselves to travelers through these regions. There is a main road that passes through this sort of valley through the Ujir mountain range. It is maintained by the dwarves. It is actually paved the entire way through, unlike most of the other roads you've traveled, which are usually just dirt or stone, natural roads. This path is paved the entire way through and is maintained very well. You are by no means the only people making use of this caravan trail, this road, which is easily wide enough in most places to accommodate 2 or 3 carts abreast going back and forth past each other. As this is basically the singular overland route through or from Voland to the southern kingdoms. It's quite a bustling thoroughfare. So you spend most of your days, or have for the last little bit, making casual conversation with other caravan drivers, people going in the same direction as you, giving a greeting to people on their way past. The incidents of like random roving monsters or bandits or anything like that are by and large unheard of on this stretch of road, as it is so heavily populated and so heavily patrolled and guarded by those traveling on it, as well as rumored the dwarves' intervention in anything that goes amiss. It's an extremely safe region to travel through. You are making your way through this pass now, heading within the next handful of days of travel for the border out of the Ozrius Mountains proper, sort of more into the foothills and into the London territory. It is... Actually, before I proceed with that, I should probably give you guys a chance. You've been traveling for some time now. The last thing we saw in the game was Ozrius kind of revealing this information to you. If you guys have anything that you would wanted to have discussed with each other or anything like that over this intervening time, please feel free.
The closer we get to the border, the more Walter probably would have been asking Bram about the bullshit dagger. So, Bram, you got anything you want to trade for?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not even because I really care about it, only because I know you want it.
Alright, well, whatever.
Yeah. Right, so, getting back to our early discussion, Walter, you're telling me that if there was coins in a chamber pot, you wouldn't go in for it unless it was over 5 gold?
5 gold seems.
I have a 10 gold minimum.
See, this is why I learned.
If there's a full coin purse.
This is why Walter's in debt.
In a chamber pot.
See, this is why I learned Mage Hand, so I didn't have to worry about that. Just,
you know what? That's a great point.
He's got a point.
No, that's not the parameters of this. For some reason, you're in an outhouse that is somehow magically barriered. Magic doesn't work in this outhouse, but there is 5 gold in it.
There's somebody else's 5 gold.
Now, how do 5 we know gold? That there's 5 gold?
You can look down and you can see it.
I'm just seeing 5 gold floating around. It's not even in a sack.
Wait, how would we see it? Because gold would sink.
Yeah, exactly.
You're thinking too much about the physics of this. You can see the gold.
You are thinking an awful lot about outhouses.
You're thinking.
All I'm saying is I might have 5 gold and you don't.
Well, that's disgusting.
Can you use prestidigitation?
And as I say that, I just wipe my hand on Walter's face.
I was about to say, I would bet you 5 gold. I would bet you 5 gold to see if that hand smells or not.
I'm not betting. On the other hand,
might, but not for the reasons you're thinking.
On the other hand, I gotta say, I've never been to the Ozrius Mountains. So,
you know what they say about the Ozrius Mountains? What they say about the Ozrius Mountains? Boy, are they huge.
Bram.
Sorry,
Doctor,
you broke into the liquor.
You broke into the turns around and just looks at Bram.
Did you break into the liquor stash? Second question: we have a liquor
I may have
stash and
been
nobody
lightly
told me.
buzzed this whole trip. Traveling with you people is not easy.
After a few minutes of silence, as you guys are continuing to ride, when you look at these massive mountain peaks that flank on either side of you, tall enough that they kind of leave the valley in a sort of a semi-twilight, even during most of the height of the afternoon. There's nothing but the sort of rattling of the wagon wheels beneath you, the clop of the horse's hooves, and the sort of noises of other travelers going on their business, and go on in silence for some time. And Jan Orville says, you know, I've heard that mustaches such as yours contain a significant number of particles of feces to begin with. You would think you would be less concerned about reaching into an outhouse for a gold piece. Considering you do seem to be carrying around what essentially amounts to a shit caterpillar on your face all the time, Walter.
God damn.
Yeah, I like her.
That's
Old
that's good.
old poop stash Gray
Like
over
her.
here.
Poop stash. Oh, it's poop stash now.
Walter. I'd like to tell you now. I will probably be the only one of the party who will not be calling you Poop Stash.
He's probably right, poop stash.
Well, me and
That's
Dr.
okay,
Strong
poop
passed.
stash's friend.
So anyway,
What about the name of the rest of you?
Poop stash and his trusty sidekick, Fecal Goatee. Moving on.
Walter, I assume that you've passed this way a few times.
Couple dozen over the years.
Shit Van
Okay.
Dyke.
Says Dr. Strongfast. Ooh, 2021, baby! Great start.
Yep.
2021, Delve Requisite, all poop chunks.
Upon hearing Shit Van Dyke, Walter will cast Silent Centered on.
That better be an NPC we run into a guy named Shit Van Dyke now.
I hope so.
Oh.
I hope so.
Now I'm just imagining like a cartoon drawing of Dick Van Dyke, but he's made of shit.
You have a very, very diseased mind. Well done.
God. All right. Anyway, sorry. Did I interrupt?
I was asking Walter if he had passed, gone through the Ujur Pass, since I imagine he's probably one of the only ones of us that has. Maybe Bram has, but
Yeah, I mean, Bram is also from Valon.
Yeah.
Just not this part of.
Yeah, no, I've passed a dozen times over the years. It's imposing the first couple of times, but as long as you don't upset the dwarves, you really have nothing to worry about.
yeah, that's a little bit easier for someone whose ears aren't pointed.
Well, wear a hat.
Oh, I'm sure they know I'm here. Then again, they're
They
Sure.
never bothered. They never.
Yeah,
really
they
bothered
can
half-elves.
they can smell you, but they might
no, they can smell you,
He's-
Bram.
they might be distracted by the scent of Walter's mustache.
No, they can smell you in that hand. I can smell you all the way from over here.
I'm very clean. I don't know about sir.
I don't know about
Mhm.
you, but I'm very.
As you guys continue your journey, when you are for the players who can't see, for the people at home, there's a kind of a small little river here that is sort of very close to the border between Valond and Krasud-Dur. when you cross over this river, which has a stone bridge built over top of it, a long, straight, smooth stone structure that has been built, spanning the distance over that 100-foot wide river. You guys know, based on Walter's estimation, that you are only about another day or so from leaving Dwarven territory and entering into Valand proper, and that his hometown, a mining settlement called Diamond Vale, is only about another day's journey north from that point on. It is a little ways out of your way if you're heading towards. You need to eventually start bearing northeast to head towards Volrenheim, where Diamondville is a little bit out of the way. It's not quite the first settlement into Valand, but it is fairly close to the border, and your plan at this point has been to kind of stop in there on your way past. And that evening, when you guys break for the night to make camp and rest the horses and have a meal and all that, that is when Jan Orville voices something that has apparently been kind of on her mind for the duration of this trip. So as you guys are kind of gathered around the fire for the evening, have preparing your meal, whatever you have either brought in terms of rations or managed to hunt up for yourself in the nearby forests, Jan says, "We've been traveling together for some time now, and I would like to know what you have in store for me. You spared my life in the woods in Mithrin Day when the others from my company were not as fortunate. In my line of work, I understand that a job is a job, and sometimes a job puts one at odds with others. And as such, I have agreed to travel with you towards this ill-defined opportunity of Walter's with the Moxham Trading and Mercantile Company. I believe I have been a cooperative enough," sort of like tilts her head back and forth as if like acquiescing. That's like, yes, she understands. It's not quite the proper term, which is cooperative enough prisoner. I'm a woman of my word, and I told you that in exchange for my life, I would accompany you to this opportunity of Walter's. But as we draw near, I find that lacking specific details is becoming rather disagreeable to me.
Do you have family, Miss Orville?
None that yet live that I know of.
We're making a small stop at my hometown, where my wife and my 3 children live. Understand that everything I do, everything I've done, and everything I will do is to ensure that they do not have to do what I've done. You should not be harmed. What you are going to be offered is most likely a job. as a trade for bringing down your former employer a few notches, should you prove valuable, it may prove lucrative for you, more than whatever they were offering previously, at least.
She sort of nods and is quiet for a time, and she says, I am not a stranger to the rumors of the Moxham Trading and Mercantile Company's practices where certain individuals are involved. You don't become one of the Five Kingdoms' most powerful trade organizations by being benevolent and generous to everyone in your employ. The term indentured servitude comes to mind, and if I have been listening to the way you have spoken about your situation and your family, as closely as I think I have, I expect that that is not a concept unfamiliar to you, Mr. Gray.
That would be accurate.
She sort of nods and she says, I would like to know, is this the fate that awaits me with Moxham Trading and Mercantile?
No.
The bluntness and the simpleness of your answer kind of catches her off guard, it seems. She kind of blinks a few times. She just nods. And she says, I believe you. Very well. Thank you for your honesty. And she doesn't raise the subject anymore.
Oh, that's good. Stew's ready.
I'll give you guys another brief opportunity to chat around the campfire with one another, or kind of montage it over the next few days before we move on to Diamond Vale. So feel free to take the floor if you have anything, or tell me to hit the fast forward button if you don't.
I imagine Walter would be a little more moody than usual after that exchange for probably a little while. So I don't really have much to contribute.
That kind of knocks that idea. I was gonna ask Walter a little bit about his family, but if he's
that's you're free to ask. I'm just understand he will probably be not in a great mood immediately after that conversation.
Entirely fair.
But throughout the course of the travels,
you have a few days before you
under the bridge,
you're scheduled to arrive at Diamond Vale, so you can certainly, if you want to say that Aelar waits a day, something like that. That's
yeah,
perfectly fine too.
So, wife and kids. Maybe it's because I'm still. Maybe it's because I like being on the road too much. Maybe it's because the idea of being married is even more terrifying than taking on those time things that we faced in that delve. Just kind of surprising. How many kids?
3. My eldest is Elliot. He's taken over my duties by now. I've been out on the road. He should be 16 now, I believe. It's unfair to them, but sometimes I forget how exactly old they are. He should have had his right of adulthood at this point. My daughter, Jade, 12. Every bit of her mother she is. Last I heard, she got into a fight with 2 other kids.
Did you win?
Yeah.
Did she use a shovel?
Oh no, she doesn't need that.
And the
Are you
youngest?
sure she's not Ozrius's kid then?
You'll understand. Ruby is quite the woman. Lucky to have caught her eye when I did.
I know it's not, and I'm going to be thoroughly disappointed, but I am expecting all of them to have the same mustache.
I've corresponded a bit back and forth with Rome. Elliot has developed his mustache a bit early, as I did.
I'm going to have a talk with that kid.
Let's
He's,
see, is that a
Bram.
family trait?
He's got his mother's eyes and his father's
We're-
mustache.
It's a mining town. It's a
Better
practical
than his
choice.
mother's mustache.
Is that a trait within the Walter family? The mustache.
The Gray family.
And what about your youngest?
Walter Jr. He, I think he's got the magical touch, unfortunately. He was born a little later into life, and he has the spark of magic in him. So,
Unfortunate.
Aelar gets a little bit somber as you say that. Yeah.
Oop.
And
we have decurtised.
please stand by.
We can proceed with the
He's
slightly
back.
different cameras.
Is he back?
Happened.
Your
Camera's
screenshot off, and you went away.
Well, apparently that happened. So
Apparently, sometimes that happens.
I don't know. So you know what? We're just gonna go with it.
The prospects of Walter Jr. were so sad he had to leave.
And what about Walter Jr.? There's a junior. Click.
But no, I was asking if the magic was really a bad thing.
It can be.
It's a small mining town.
Kind of
There's-
makes you a bit of a target.
Is
There's opportunity up there, but not enough, and he'll have to go to the city in time.
Well,
There's
if I
a
know,
there's a teacher there. He may hopefully learn to not destroy the home when throwing a temper tantrum, like he may or may not have done when he was 3.
I know one thing. It's definitely people who look like they shouldn't have magic but do. Definitely me. Can't wait to meet them. Of course. So excited.
I feel your enthusiasm.
okay. I repositioned Jason's camera if we have lost a Kurtis camera.
Yeah, I've been trying to turn it back on. Let me
Oh.
see. Okay.
Hey.
Have you tried giving it a tickle?
I have to reposition Jason's camera again.
Don't ever say that again.
If it happens again, then yeah, we'll figure. But it might be some setting.
Alrighty.
Oh, I'm here twice. That's unfortunate.
A double Jason.
Oh, now there's 2 of them.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, very good. So you guys, after several long weeks on the road, the Ujir mountain range kind of recedes into the background a little bit. The terrain here in southern Valand is still quite hilly and rocky and uneven. There's a lot of kind of winding back and forth through the foothills, the steep slopes of the northern kind of reaches of the foothills of the Ujir Mountains. And eventually you come to what Walter informs you is Diamondville. You come over a kind of a rocky rise, and you're able to look down below. There is a sort of a dip into a valley, within which you see some of the more even portions. There's a handful of small farms have been established, and further beyond them, the hillside kind of slopes up again into a series of sort of tiered, rocky, steep, hilly kind of cliffs, and sort of nestled in among at various levels, rising through this this tiered portion of hill, is a small settlement. As you guys descend down and cross over the valley and make your way back upwards towards the rise, you enter into the town of Diamondvale proper via what is I sent you guys the map earlier there. It's what has the label number 1 at the southern portion of it. Let me go ahead and pop the Diamondvale map up for our audience. Diamondvale is behind me. So our adventurers have just arrived about here. This is a series of warehouses here, kind of circling this well-packed dirt kind of courtyard. And in addition to the warehouses, there is a large, long stable, as well as several sizable buildings in and around which a number of carts and caravan like trailers are all sort of parked and lined up. This is clearly an area where things are sort of coordinated and distributed to come in and out of this town. It is a hub for the Trading and Mercantile Organization, the Moxco. I will, at this point, just get out of your way. So, like, you're at the southern border of the town here, at that, and then, like, take it away, Walter. Like, where you guys go, what you guys do, and who you talk to, and stuff like that.
Well, let's stop into the distribution. Say hi to my cousin, Obadiah, or not cousin. Sorry,
Obadiah.
Mr. Obadiah.
Obadiah.
Yep.
He's strong name.
Just need to check in with him real quick and send a message up to Moxham that we're a few towns away with the asset, and we should be good to go take a tour. So I will take myself and Jan, I guess, unless everybody else would like to come, to the distribution depot that we're right at the beginning.
Seems like a lovely place. Sure.
Yeah, I'll go. Let's be the one.
Why not?
All right.
Walter, one of the things that you notice as you approach the distribution center here, there is still kind of a bustle of activity. There are some caravans that are clearly coming through here, some receiving material. You see that the warehouse typically used for the organization and storage of the town's export, which is largely coal, a few other like raw stone mineral type things, and then obviously when they're come across diamonds. You see that there is very little in the way of outgoing material set up here, as if the mines have not been turning out anything to export for some number of days.
All right. Let's talk to Mr. Sterling about that.
You enter into the
So
the main building there, and you see that behind the desk is the sort of grizzled, older member of the Sterling family, Obadiah, who looks up and sort of raises his eyebrows as he sees you. He says, "Oh, Walter. Been some time since you've been back through."
Mr. Obadiah. Yeah, I have some gifts for the young ones, and I need to get a message to Mr. Moxham.
He nods and says, Right. Well, better get that taken care of quickly then. Bit of trouble.
Yeah, what's going on with the exports?
He says, kind of shakes his head. He says, accident.
Another? How many did we lose?
Says, remains to be seen. Says, there's a whole to-do up by the entrance to mine, too. He says, might wants to head on up that way when you get in. Don't know if there's anything you boys can do to help, but the whole town's out about it.
Is it a collapse or something else?
Shakes his head. Flood. Hit some kind of a reservoir or something, flooded out part of the tunnel. I don't know all the details myself. I've been swamped down here mostly trying to make sure we keep things at least part of the way on track. They've overseers pulled everybody off the other mines to help with the relief efforts. They're trying to dig them out. I don't know. Ask up there when you get in.
All right.
Let me I'll write a quick letter for Messenger Sparrow to get to Moxham, that we're here in Diamond Vale and which city to head to after the fact to drop off Orville. I'll tell him we'll be here for a couple days probably before heading back up.
Very good.
All right, let's go check out this mine.
If you don't mind, I understand it's been a bit of time on the road. We can check in the house first and check in with the wife, give the kids some toys before we go, and risk life and limb to save somebody else. Like to leave on a good note.
You wouldn't. You'd know, Walter. You basically have to walk past your house to get up to where the entrance to mine 2 is.
Wow, you get the grand abridged tour of the town, I guess.
Grand abridged?
Yeah, we're gonna skip a little bit of it to get to the mine a little bit faster.
Oh,
I
okay.
do apologize.
What's this over here to our left?
Those are houses, Oz.
Those are
People
houses?
live there.
So you do see as Walter kind of like leads you out of the distribution center here and sort of up the slope into the tiered rises that make up Diamond Vale. The town is seen better days. Everything sort of has this kind of gritty, sooty coating, just as a byproduct of like the material that they're extracting out of the mountain here. So things are kind of dirty. The houses are a little bit on the run down side. It looks like they were, built some number of years ago, and the town has not really updated or renovated since that time. A lot of the houses are kind of small, crammed next to each other here at the base, and everything is sort of because of the steeply sloping, cliff-tiered terrain of this. Everything has the feel of just being like piled on top of each other. The town has almost a claustrophobic feel to it a little bit. But as you guys make your way up the kind of the main sloped path that leads straight through the center of the town. Walter leads you off on a branch to the left there that kind of slopes and begins to zigzag its way up higher into the rocky hill here. And about halfway up this kind of first rise, Walter, you reach your home. You can feel free to describe for us.
Welcome to the Grey Home. It's probably, let's see, indeterminate age. It's like flagstone built with like old mortar, several hundred years old, you would guess. Older than that in reality. It's been in the Grey family, passed down to the eldest of the eldest of the eldest for 10 generations now. Updates here and there as it's been patched and repaired over the years, but otherwise just a simple stone, flagstone farmhouse style building. Maybe 2 floors.
Themes,
Living
those are
area
nice.
down.
Oops. I like it. I like your town.
You know, Walter, I mean this with the utmost respect, but your hometown is depressing.
I like it.
And this is coming from a man who grew up in a place literally called the Pit.
Well, I, for one, like it. It has a lot of rocks. Reminds me of home.
That's right.
People,
It does. To be fair, it does have the one thing on Ozrius' checklist: rocks.
I'm down for it. And you got a mine too?
We got 3 of them.
Oh, you got 3 of them?
We got 3 of
you
them.
looking
Do you
for?
have like the good mine
got
and
the
the
water?
bad mine where you like? I don't know, let's
Yeah,
not go to the,
one
let's not
of
go to
them
the
does
bad
have the
mine. Let's go to
water.
the good mine across town.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole problem. One of them does have the water. Osrius. Wow, how insensitive. Way to make light of a
problem.
national disaster.
Water.
Well, let me see if let's
We'll
see if
see how
Fergie and
that's
the
a
kids are
problem,
home,
then.
and let's drop our things here
Meet your kids.
and head up. So I'll just open the door and call out for Ruby.
You call out, and a moment later, you hear from the other room here. Dad, and out from sort of a like back room in the first floor here, carrying a basket that has what appears to be like linens that have just been taken down off of the line is for those of you who are not Walter, you see a girl of probably just breaching into her teen years. She is several inches shorter than Walter, and you can kind of just see like a hint of his like bone structure in her face. But as she comes around and kind of spots you, she drops the laundry basket and kind of runs over and throws her arms around the middle of Walter there and gives him a big hug. And as she
Jade.
as she backs up, she looks at you and you see that Jade does have currently the like very, very fading, almost healed hint of a black eye and a little bit of like a split lip at the corner. She kind of like grins. She says, "Ma'am didn't tell us you were coming home. Are you going to be staying long?"
It's a couple days. But I brought presents. Do you know where your brothers are?
She says, Walter Jr. I think is I'm pretty sure he's over with Henrik. And she kind of frowns a little bit. She says, Elliot's up at mine too. He's helping with the the others. Did they tell you what happened?
Yeah, I'm glad he's helping and not one of the people that was in there.
She shakes his.
He's a good kid, but we.
She shakes her head. She says,
Thank you, Jade.
No, he wasn't working on the shift that had happened. She says, no, the ones they're looking for. She says. She says it's Merrick Sterling's oldest, Brandon Sterling, two of the Brown brothers, Job and Amos, Victor, Stavros, and cousin Leonard. She kind of bites her lower lip at that. She says they're the ones down there right now that they're looking for.
Well, me and my friends here are gonna go see if we can help too.
She kind of looks at you guys. You see her giving you sort of like an appraising eye.
Aelar's staring back at her. He's got an inscrutable look.
She spends a little bit of extra time looking at Ozrius, kind of like she does the slow climb up to the top of Ozrius. But she nods and she says, "Well, they haven't been able to figure out anything helpful yet. Maybe you and your friends will be able to." She says, well, Mom's over at the forge. They're replacing pickheads as fast as they can build them. They've been going all day and all night trying to dig a different tunnel to get into them. That's been their plan so far.
It's good to know. I'll go check in with her and try to get more information. I'm gonna kneel down to not even really have to kneel that much because she's friggin' tall for.
She's definitely hit a growth spurt in the last 6 to 8 months since you've been home.
You're gonna be as tall as your mother. Ugh. So he'll gesture like he's gonna crouch down to get to her eye level, but he doesn't really have to do all that. So it's all right. If I can trust you, I have some surprises in my bag. It's for all of you. Just wait till we get back, okay? We'll all open it together.
She has the slightest of shifty eyes for a second, but she kind of she nods. She says, "Okay, I won't look."
I'll give her a wink, and then I'll pull out her little the cartoon jewelry or costume jewelry thing that we got from the thing. Maybe I'll give you yours first. Just keep the rest a secret.
She takes it and she looks at it and she's her eyes go as wide as dinner plates. But she quickly tucks it into her tunic, her shirt, and stores it away.
I will tell you all about that when we get back. And I'll just give her a pat on the head and then head over to the forge. So if you guys want to leave your stuff at the house, it's secure. The traveling things. If you want to travel light to not lose anything.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Aelar will, when two of you part, he starts a little bit and then he dumps off his pack and follows you.
As Bram and Aelar kind of dump their packs in. Jade gives you guys both a very clearly a sort of practiced polite curtsy, "Good day, sir. Good day, sir." As Ozrius comes in to dump his stuff, she repeats the gesture. She kind of looks at him, and after a brief moment, she seems to, without being able to really contain herself, she just blurts out. She goes, "Are you a giant?"
Just like that, being and kind of crouching down, I'd be like, "It's a possibility. Are you a human?"
She does a conspiratorial look from side to side, and she leans in. She says, "It's a possibility."
All right, Jade, hold down the fort. I know you can handle it.
She's definitely Walter's kid.
She says, "Okay."
I'm gonna actually before she runs off, I'm actually gonna reach into my pocket, and I'm gonna give her. Actually, I'm gonna look at Walter real quick, and being like, kind of give him a glance a little bit, and I'm gonna give her one of the magical acorns. Actually.
Okay.
Oh no! Oh no!
I'm gonna look at that. I'm gonna look at her dead in the eyes when we get back.
And I'm gonna be like, shh.
Okay, she takes a magical acorn. Alrighty. Okay, well with that you guys are able to kind of make your way out. You know that Walter Jr. is you guys have heard that Walter's youngest son, Walter Jr., is currently with somebody named Henrik. You know that Walter's wife Ruby is currently at the smithy. And you know that Walter's eldest son, Elliot, is up by Mine 2, where it seems like a large portion of the town is currently gathered in some sort of an ongoing rescue effort for the named miners who you have heard are currently trapped after some sort of a flooding accident in the mine.
Henrik's all the way at 6. That's kind of out of the way.
Water kill you.
Smithy's 13. I guess we kind of have to pass by to get out there, huh?
So Henrik.
No, Mine 2 is 10.
Henrik and the smithy are
like right next to each other.
Back the other way, up the other rise on the other side of town. Mine 2 is like further in the direction you've been heading up this side. Granted, the town is like it's not going to take you more than 5 minutes to walk to any given place.
Oh, I see. I'm gonna tell Jade to go get. You know what? No, I'm just gonna. Yeah, let's go check in. No, I see where Mine 2 is now. Yeah. We'll just head straight to Mine 2.
Sure.
Leaving Earth. Yeah. Instead of meeting up with because Walter Jr.'s fine and Ruby's busy. So.
Just real quick, where we? I'm looking at the map. I'm trying to.
So, Mine 2 is just to the left of where we are. So, like, we're that first little up and left doodle, but where it goes, like, from the bottom.
Okay. Oh,
so, like,
right.
we're in like the bottom quarter.
Okay.
Ruby and Walter Jr. are like on the right quarter, like right middle quarter.
Okay.
Yeah, so for our,
why
for
don't
our
you
audience at home and for you guys if you look on the stream here, I am currently right here where I'm pointing. This is Walter's house. So you guys came in from like over here and came up and around this way near Walter's house. And then over, my hand disappears that way, but if you go over that way and then like up and around in that direction, that's the entrance to Mine 2 up on that next rise up there. Whereas
that's
the other stuff that has been being talked about is like over that way on the other side of town. The town is basically like a V shape where like there's a central pat road that goes through it, and then like the town sort of rises up in tiers in either direction, in like a V from that central road.
Walter, why don't you use Morrigan to send a message to your wife?
Aelar, you're a genius. And then I'll pop her back into existence, and then I'll kind of like look at her and say, you know where to go, and then send her off. So I'll just send her directly to the smithy. She'll know what that means. All right, let's go. Let's go catch up with Elliot.
Aelar will run back to his pack and grab some of the rope that he has with him. Never know. Let's go.
Let's do this.
Right. So you guys head over to Mine 2. Walter leads you up second rise. You pass a number of other some different dwellings. There's a few buildings that look like they are designed for tool storage of material coming up from the mines, processing and sorting type stuff. and then you are brought over into the area of Mine 2 itself. At the back of this open space, you do see the kind of the classic arched opening of a mine shaft at the top of this area. Despite the area being relatively dry, hasn't rained in this region for several days that you guys have been traveling. So despite the rest of the town being pretty dry as you pass through, the staging area out front of this mine 2 is like just a sodden, churned up, muddy mess. There are mine carts filled with just like slopped, sodden, wet, muddy earth. A number of like temporary tents have been set up all in this area, and there are about 30 people currently like in this area, and a flurry of activity is going on. People are going into and out of the mine. Currently, just with a very like frenetic buzz of an energy about them, as they all kind of work in this area. You can see that there are a number of places where there's like a pile of tools have been put. They're like mud caked, filthy. They largely appeared to have been like broken, and then like fresh tools are being brought up. You can see it looks like mine carts, materials, things have been like brought in and just sort of organized all over the this staging area here. Things like supports for mine shafts to prevent cave-ins, things of that nature, just all in this area. And things are busy enough that nobody really pays you guys much mind as you approach. Walter, as you're kind of looking around, you don't see Elliot anywhere immediately, but you do recognize most of the other folks in this region.
Do I see Fenister
yes,
anywhere?
I was going to say, including you do see.
Mr. Garley.
You do see Fen Garley, the overseer of Diamond Vale. He is with a gaggle of gentlemen. He is, on a typical, day-to-day basis, he wears nothing over. He doesn't wear like overly fancy. He's not putting on airs as nobility. He always wears, relatively plain but well-made clothes. Today he is, you see, he has like traded that in. He's wearing plain workers pants, a heavy worn pair of boots, and a plain tunic. He is just as covered in like mud and like smeared sooty debris as any of the other men and women in this area. His hair is like pushed back and like slicked, plastered against his head just by like the level of filth that's on it. And he's kind of like leaning on a shovel. You can see even through like the mud caked on him, he has like these heavy bags under his eyes, just belying like an exhaustion. And as you kind of approach towards him, you can see that like just kind of on the grip of the shovel where he's got his hands, you can see like the wood is kind of a little bit stained a dark color, and you can just catch like the pads of his hands are like torn up and blistered, almost bloody. It appears that he has been right alongside everybody else in this effort, and he's talking to a couple of gentlemen as you guys sort of approach, and you catch the last snippet of what he's saying as you guys approach. You hear him say, I don't know, we need to come up with something different. The men and women have been pushing themselves more than anyone could ask for them, but progress is just not fast enough. We need to think of some other solution. We're not going to make it in time if we keep going this way. And he sort of turns and he kind of sees you guys approaching. He is distracted at first by Ozrius. turns, his eye is sort of drawn to the hulking figure that's easily 2.5 feet taller than anybody else in the area here. But then he kind of shifts focus and he looks back to you and says, "Oh, Walter." He says, "It's
hard at work, Mr. Fenn. How many are down there right now?" Jade told me some 6 or 7.
Yeah, he sort of drags an exhausted hand down the front of his face. He says 6. He says they've been down for the better part of. Pinches the bridge of his nose. He says 6 days, 7 days. He says I haven't slept much. It's they're beginning to bleed together, and gentleman next to him nods and confirms. He says, "Oh, it says 6 days. 6 days they've been down." And Fenn nods. He says, 6 days they've been down there.
Where's the parallel tunnel? Where are you running? How deep have you made it?
He says the part that collapsed was near the bottom, near the newest shafts that we've been digging out. He says they tapped too close to a wall, into an underground reservoir that we didn't know was there, as best we can figure. Once the wall was weakened enough, the water simply blew it out, flooded the tunnel. He says, he says, one of the Brown boys, Calvin, was close by to the group that are still down there when the water came rushing in. As far as he saw, they got separated by the water and started to head a little deeper in towards the more recent digging that was at a slightly higher elevation, so we have reason to believe that they're still alive down there. At least kind of offers a gesture up towards the heavens. He says, "Gods be merciful, that's what we're hoping." And he says, "But they're separated from us by several hundred feet of completely flooded tunnel. We haven't been able to figure out a way to get to them or to get them out." He says, "Right now, our best bet has been we've been trying to either seal off portion, get down to seal off, or to divert the water, or to tunnel around to get to them. But it's even at our best pace." He kind of shakes his head, and he says, "I've shut down the other mines, moved everyone here. We're working in rotating shifts. We've been going 24 hours a day since the accident, but it's going to take us weeks at best to get to them at this pace." He says they'll long have run out of either food or air, or he kind of shakes his head. He says, "Heavens knows how potable the water is where they're trapped with all of the debris off the mine walls." He says they'll be long dead before we get to them at this pace if we don't figure out something else.
Do you have a map of the area?
Yeah, was the collapse north or south? Do you have a map of the mine?
He kind of gestures you over and he brings you to into one of the tents where there's a table that has a bunch of maps spread out. You see a number of them are have designations labeling them as part of the Mine 2 complex. And for Walter, these are probably second nature to read these. It takes a little bit of explaining probably for the other three of you, as it is sort of a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional structure. And basically what you guys determine is that on the sort of vertical axis, the area in question is it really only a little bit northwest of where the actual entrance to the mine is, but it is straight down several hundred feet down into the ground. There are several vertical shafts with lifts staged down in that direction, each of which have spidering pathways of mine shafts off of them. The one in question is the very lowest level that they have reached with this mine, and it is several hundred feet of branched, interlocked tunnel. The collapse is sort of in the center of one of these side networks, and it has flooded all the way back to almost the entrance of that level. He kind of points out where the man who made it out away from the water indicated that he got separated with the miners who were trapped, and he points out a portion of the very ends, the kind of most completed ends of the tunnel, where those have another rise in elevation a little bit, enough that they believe, based on the water level and the height that it filled to in the parts that they have access to, there should be about 100 feet of tunnel that is essentially like a sealed air pocket right now, which is where they believe, assuming they made it ahead of the water, is where those 6 miners would be trapped. But between there and where the water starts, it's several hundred feet of completely flooded, completely black, winding tunnels, significantly further than anybody could possibly hope to swim on a long.
Is there a tunnel a level or two above it that we could get into?
Yeah, so they are currently
over them?
working from the closest tunnel that they have access to try and dig into this region. And their current attempt seems to be they're sort of trying to work their way towards splitting the difference of this flooded portion to see if they can't maybe create an air pocket that they could ostensibly try and send somebody into to then reach the others and then get back. But it's still sheer amount of material that needs to be moved. It's tons and tons of rock that they need to move out. Even at their best pace, they're only clearing a handful of a dozen feet, a handful of feet a day. And the prevailing opinion that seems to be spreading through the camp is even at their best pace with this method, there's no way that those 6 miners don't starve or suffocate before they can get to them.
What kind of floor do we have in the tent where we're talking? And is it just me, and is it just the group and the foreman?
pretty I mean, it's there's muddy, churned up ground, but it's by and large pretty packed earth and stone.
I think, and I'll use mold earth to kind of bend around a little bit where we have inside the tent, and say, I think I might be able to help.
He kind of looks and he arches an eyebrow at this, and he says, "You're able to move the ground with. You have workings?"
I'm gonna give him a wink and say, secret Grey family technique.
Kind of frowns. He says, "Can you do that to solid stone?"
No, but, and I'm gonna gesture at Oz, give him a pick or two, and I'm sure it won't be a problem.
Use my hands.
It's
fine.
I might have a better idea.
Oh, you might be able to.
What are the possibilities of dimension dooring in there?
You'd need to know exactly where you're going. There's a chance if you're off by even a little bit, you're going to teleport right into the wall.
So I get I'm going to try to coordinate with the foreman and sees if he can get us directly over within about 500 feet of where the hole is. So he can, because with the maps, like he would know.
Yeah, they
possibly.
don't have a tunnel. Like based on the way things are laid out, they don't have a tunnel that is like an adjacent tunnel that is within 500 feet of like the unflooded portion.
Right.
Kingdom for water breathing spell.
Right.
All right. Nothing I've gotten will help. Web isn't going to do us any
Also,
good.
keep in mind I can only do that. I can only do that twice, and I can bring one person with me each time. I have to rest.
Okay.
Best
Web might do is help if we have a sudden collapse, but I'm not even sure that will do much good. Let's see, what else do I have? If there's even a small tunnel, I would be able to send Scooter through with and maybe you can see whether or not they're still alive. Send a message.
He kind of looks at the weasel, and he says, he says, your trained animal, I assume, needs air. He says, as far as we've been able to discover, we have no accessible route to reach where they are that is not completely submerged.
Oh.
I don't have the means to recast the spell with me, so I can't change his form.
Has anyone spoken to Henrik?
He says, he's been down here a few times. He kind of points to Aelar. He said something similar to you, something about the breathing of water, but he's provided no alternatives to us yet. He says at this point our best bet has just been to dig for all the good it's going to do, but kind of shakes his head.
All right,
nothing.
Okay, where is this Henrik? I'll go and speak with him. It sounds like he's knowledgeable in things arcane.
He says just on the other rise, on the other side of town. His house is a little isolated away from the others. If you head past the small temple, there's a narrow rise that leads up to a slightly higher tier. His house stands alone there.
All right. Walter, you know this area.
Yeah, I know where he's at.
Okay.
Let's sally forth.
In the meantime, do any of the rest of you want to join the efforts?
Yeah, I mean, I can. Anything that needs to be moved and a weight capacity that is ridiculous, I can do. So, you tell me where to go. I'm.
There was mention that they were also having to like forge picks on the fly, right?
Yeah, there's sort of like the smithy is like repairing them they're breaking them as fast as the smithy's able to repair them, because they're just like.
I can go over to him and give him some heat metal assistance to make things move faster.
All right, Walter, you and me.
All right. We might as well stop by the smithy on the way. I have somebody to say hello to.
Orville, it's up to you. You know your capabilities. If you,
Yeah, I imagine Jan is with us.
She sort of frowns and she says, I don't see how I'm any help talking to smithies or wizards. This begins like rolling up her sleeves. She says, I'll dig.
Thank you.
I'll turn to the overseer, Fen. Have these two meet up with Elliot. He'll tell them what to do.
Garley kind of nods. He says, "Of course."
All right, Walter. Let's go find us some Henrik.
All right, so we'll scurry on over to the smithy first, as it's on the way.
So Bram, Walter, Aelar, you guys kind of head off. Ozrius, you and Jan, kind of watch them go. You see a few people, sort of the familiarity, that like the neighborly nod as like Walter kind of passes people. You see folks like sort of turn. They either offer him a nod or a sort of a wave of the hand. A couple of folks kind of come up and just briefly sort of like clasp arms with him in greeting. You can tell these are like, this is Walter's community. They know him and he knows them. They are clearly in crisis at this point, but
there are so many mustaches. There is no man that doesn't have a mustache.
I feel weird with not having a beard or mustache on my character. I feel out of place.
But the man who was introduced to you is the overseer of the town, this Fen Garley that you've been speaking to. He says, "Come on, I'll take you down there. Walter's oldest boy is on one of the crews digging right now. I'll send you to him. He can set you right." And
all right.
He brings you down into the mine, and you guys enter. The tunnel goes back several dozen feet, where it then ends in a sort of a rounded end to this tunnel, in the center of which is a large square opening that has a heavy wood and reinforced metal framework with a big like winch attached to it. And they have, you see there's like several pack animals are like harnessed into this winch. And as you guys approach, you step over this opening onto a like an enclosed platform, basically. There is a safety rail that Garley swings shut behind you, and he gives a nod to a man over by the animals who like flicks like a riding crop into like the flank of one of them, and they give several, they kind of and begin to walk. And as they walk, a series of large cogs like turn, and it turns this winch that begins unspooling a heavy duty length of chain, and the platform that you're on begins to descend down this shaft. You descend 100 feet or so, and you get off, and you see that down below in here there are we lost Oz again.
Welcome back.
Down below, I'm not going to mess with the cameras again because you got it fixed last time. Is he in disc? He can hear me, right?
He's here. I don't know if he can hear.
Oh my god.
Okay, he's here.
Yes.
Russ, you muted yourself.
What?
There you go.
I was just saying we can hear him.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening with it. I was literally just sitting.
Okay, I just didn't want to keep like.
You got tired of looking at your face.
For with you not able to hear me would have been a waste of time since you're the only character here right now.
Yeah, no.
So I just want to make sure you were still good before I continued.
Yes.
You descend down this shaft, and you see that the space down here is illuminated by what you have seen. You've seen them a number of times in your travels. Predominantly, there was a lot of them around the area of Terra Libra. But they are these like glass spheres, these like thick reinforced glass spheres that glow with like an illumination from within them, but they have no flame. They're not lit by gas or tallow or any type of combustible material. They are this object that just emits this light, keeping you able to sort of see your path. And you head down through this tunnel where there are Several individuals you see are like in the process of like wheeling material out here. That's just like loose earth and rubble. And you repeat this process a couple of more times, descending several more layers down. And it gets like progressively like wetter and muddier and grosser as you go down, until you eventually reach the level where they are currently tunneling. You can see like it descends. There's a point where the tunnel descends, and you can see by the illumination of these lamps, these lanterns that are in here, you can see there is a point a little ways off in the one fork where the tunnel, as it dips down, just flat ends in water. The whole tunnel is flooded over. He leads you off in the other branch, which sort of curves a little bit up and a little bit around to what you would gauge is maybe like sort of above-ish the flooded portion. And this is where you see they have like, you see where they were digging, and they have like taken a hard turn that they are now digging a tunnel in the direction of like trying to get out over and above the flooded portion. And there are a number of men like on a crew there, just like whaling picks into this wall, shoveling out material, getting it into carts, and like pushing it out of this this area. As he brings you over, he says, "Elliot," he kind of squints through the darkness until one individual turns around who is like a dead ringer for like Walter, but 25 years younger. Complete with like a sort of a not quite a full mustache, but like a maybe a little bit of a wispy one. Comes over, and you kind of even see you can just tell that this is Walter's oldest son, even through all the grime on him. And he says, "Your father's back in town." He points to the two of you behind him. He says, "He's brought some folks with him. They're gonna try and help get the boys out of there." He says, "The others have gone off to go talk to Henrik. So these two are gonna give you a hand, put him to work." And Elliot kind of nods. He says, yes, sir." And he looks at the two of you and he says, "Okay, come on." And he leads you over.
Let's do this.
And he sort of like he sends Jan a shovel, and he like holds out a second shovel, and he like looks at the shovel, and he looks at you, Oz, and the shovel is like would look like a toy in your hands, and he goes, "Maybe come here." And he leads you over to where a number of other men are working. The tunnel, by the way, Oz, you're like definitely having to like hunch down in here, as it's not tall enough for you to stand up in. But he brings you over to where several men, they're in the process of like pickaxing chunks of rock from the wall in like larger pieces, and as they come out, they're then like breaking them up into more manageable sizes to be carted out. And he points to like a big rock that they've like recently like pried and dropped into the center of this path that they're like about to start to disassemble and bring out. And he points at it, he goes, "Can you lift that?"
Yes. Yes.
It's a good question. It's just yes.
It's just I'm pretty sure I can.
You head over, and yes, you can lift it. You like you just get.
I was about to say
it's just a little bit of a struggle because you can't get great purchase on it. Everything's sort of wet down here, and you can't really like fully stand to get like great leverage to lift like with your legs. But with like a great straining of flexing of muscle that like, bulge out, and like the creaking of sinew, Ozrius, you just like lift this hunk of rock out of the ground, and he says, "All right, if you can get it into that cart and push it out of here," he says, "that'll save us a lot of time." And one of the men who had been like working on it like runs his hand through his like to the top of his hair. He's got a hat on that sort of like pushes back as his hand presses up, and he says, "That would have taken us a bloody hour to break up." And then you bring this, and you like poof, thud this rock down into the cart. The cart gives this like groan of protest, but holds up under the weight. And then you're able to sort of shoving it back up the mine shaft. Jan just like shakes her head and just goes over and starts like shoveling with some of the other gentlemen. And that's where we'll leave you guys as we head over to check in on the others. So Bram, Aelar, and Walter, you guys head up when you move. Let's move the Diamond Vale map. You guys head up to the other side of town. You make your way back to that main pass, a little further north to the north side of town, and then up to the right, and begin ascending the secondary slope on the other side of the town. You make your way up in that direction, and actually as you this here centered on my screen over here is Henrik's house up here all by itself. The smithy is further up in this direction, but as you guys come up this way and are like about to make the turn to head further up towards the smithy, you hear a voice calls out, "Walt!" And you look, and there is a woman descending the path up that leads up towards where you know Henrik's house to be. She's wearing simple trousers, like soft leather boots. She currently has on a plain like kind of rough spun blouse top, the sleeves of which have been removed, and she has a heavy like leather apron on, and in one fairly well muscled arm, she has like a small boy kind of like held and like balanced on one hip as she makes her way down this path, and she says, "The bird came to the smithy. I knew you were here. She said I was just grabbing Walter Jr. We were going to come find you. She says, have you already been over to mine too?"
Yes, two of my compatriots are down helping to clear the mine, and my friends here, Bram and Aelar, are here to help in this side. And then I'll like ruffle Junior's head
He sort of like,
just a little bit.
Sort of like squiggles, and she puts him down, and he runs over and like throws his arms around. He's about like waist high to you, kind of throws his arms around you, and he says, "Papa, I've been learning from old man Henrik."
Oh, that's good. Have you been behaving?
He says, "Yeah." He says, "I could do a." He
Are
says,
you
like,
sure?
"Yeah," and he's like, I can do a whole thing just like you. Watch." And he like turns away, and he goes, rubs his hands together, and then he thrusts his hands out in front of him, and like a little like 1 foot patch of dirt goes like and slides up to the side as Walter Jr. uses tiny mold earth.
Oh, that's a good one. You're gonna be able to help everybody in the tunnel soon.
Ruby shakes her head and she goes, "He dug up the entire backyard for a week after he figured that out."
That's my boy.
I lean over to Aelar and I go, "I was half expecting him to poop his pants."
No, I kind of expected this. Pooping the pants comes
Ruby,
earlier in the learning.
Sorry. He's getting so big. But Bram here.
Well, Walter, life's in danger.
Life's in danger. He had mentioned that he can heat metal if he can help out at the smithy. Are you okay with bringing him over and introducing him to everyone?
Yes, I can. She looks at you. She says, "Your..." Gestures behind her. She says, "You're going to talk to Henrik."
We need to talk to Henrik. Yes.
Look,
Aelar
it's just up this way.
So.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Gray. He shakes her hand. I'll go talk with Henrik. You.
She says,
And Aelar continues on the fork of the path.
Gives you a nod. She says, "Very, very good." She sort of gives you a quick, plants a quick kiss on Walter, then turns to you, Bram, and she says, "Come on then, this way." And she, begins kind of moving in that direction. She gives a quick sort of turn to Walter Jr. and she looks down and she says, "Go home to your sister. Straight home now. No stopping. If I hear you went to the general store and tried to pilfer sweets off of your cousin, you'll be in trouble later. Go." And she kind of gives him a little push, and he, Walter Jr., pelts off, running back in the direction of Walter's home. She leads you further up the rise, Bram. As you guys walk, she kind of turns. She says, "Walter said plenty of things about you in his letters home." She says, "You and Aelar, and I assumed that I would recognize the one called Ozrius had I seen him. He is presumably back at the mine." She says... she catches your, as she says, "He said a lot about you." She catches the look on your face. And she says, she says, "It sounds very much like the business that a lot of you get up to is perilous. My Walter has been forced into this dangerous life these last years by circumstances outside his control, and until recently he has been alone in that. My greatest fear is that on one of these wild, harebrained, cockamamie schemes that he's sent off on by that man, he's going to end up dead, alone in some bottomless cave somewhere. And he'll never return, and I'll never know what happened to him. It means more than you can possibly understand to know that he's traveling with people who will watch his back." Kind of frowns. She says, "I still worry that he's going to end up killed, but it's enough to know that he's not alone anymore, and I thank you for that."
You're
She
welcome.
begins to open the door to the smithy. You kind of feel the blast of heat from the inside, and as you go to walk in, she puts her hand on the door frame, barring your presence. And she goes, "But lay off the poop stash stuff." She pulls her hand away and lets you enter into the smithy.
I will say, Mrs. Gray, we faced a lot of danger on our travels, but the most dangerous for your husband was some southern chili.
He shakes his head. She says, he's never been one who understood his own constitution all that well." She leads you inside, and there you are introduced to the smithy, where you go about the process of superheating pieces of metal, as opposed to having to put them into the kiln, into the forge, and you go about the business of doing this as Ruby and the smithy, who is an older gentleman that is introduced to you, as Micah Sterling quickly grab the the various pieces of cracked or broken picks and begin whang, 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 hitting them with hammers to sort of shape them back into a proper configuration. As that is going on, Walter, you and Aelar head up the rest of the way up to this little solitary, very small, very kind of plain-looking building that has been constructed up at the top of this small flat rise here. You see there's a small garden in the back where a number of sort of weird-looking herbs and things are growing. And as you approach, you see the door is just open, the front door, and you can see somebody is walking back and forth, tidying some books and things up in there. And he catches sight of you, and one of his passes through the door. And Henrik says, "Ah, Walter, come on in. Your wife said you were in town."
Oh, Mr. Henrik. Yeah, wish it was under better circumstances.
Bad business currently. Those poor lads trapped in the mine. He turns and says, "And who might your friend here be?"
This is Aelar Cabot Jr. He's
nice to meet you,
venturing
sir.
companion. He dabbles in the magic like you do, sir.
I see. What can I do for you?
The overseer down there said that you spoke of some arcane spells as possible ways to assist in the rescue efforts. What spells do you know?
He kind of frowns and he says, "Not a damn one that's going to help any of those boys down in that mine, that's for sure." And he says,
"Well, let's pool our resources. Maybe you have something that's not useful on its own, but maybe between the three of us, we've got something that might change things up."
He says, "Maybe."
Most of the spells I know are ones that can cloud the mind or affect the senses. Illusions mostly, but I can create a large webbed area. I can turn invisible, but that's no good here. I can summon a familiar, and Scooter pops out of one of his coat pockets, but I don't have the means to recreate the spell.
He says,
If I had the components, I could summon him as a different form. Maybe something that can get a message to them. Maybe find out whether they're still alive.
Says, all right, hold that thought. Walter. He kind of looks at the sort of the state of Aelar and his his traveling clothes and his armaments that he's carrying. He looks at you with the armaments that you're carrying. He says, "Your wife's told me a little bit about the comings and goings you've been up to recently. This crowd you've been traveling with, you brought more than just him here to town?"
Have you ever met a Goliath?
I can't say that I have.
Well, right now, down in one of the mines, there's a 7.5-foot tall half giant that's probably moving boulders.
Huh. Now, I'm sure it's an impressive sight to see, but I imagine just about everybody knows that they're not digging their doings, not doing anybody good except making themselves feel a bit better than sitting and twiddling their thumbs. If those boys are still alive down there, they'll be long starved to death before they tunnel their way to them.
We have another companion with us. He's a half-orc. He does have the ability to move a great distance almost instantly, but we need to know exactly where he's going to end up.
I don't know much about translocating magic, but what I do know is awful risky to not pop yourself out inside of a stone wall. That's a tough one.
Yes, but do you have the means to see far? To scry?
No, but this familiar of yours, what do you need for this ritual?
I need a brazier. I need some herb. And when Aelar thinks herbs, he walks out the door and heads toward the garden. Yes, no, yes, yes.
I'm like Walter's just gonna take out like 2 gold and just give it to Henrik.
He waves the gold off and says, "Get that out of my face. If your friend can gather the spell components he needs for his spell here, and it'll help those boys in the mine. I'm not gonna take your money. You take me.
Charcoal. I need charcoal. Wait, no, Yes, I have incense. Okay. I just need a brass brazier.
Well, that I've got. Come here." He brings you inside.
All right.
He says, "So you think you can make this familiar of yours into a fish or something? A squid? Guppy?"
Let me think. Okay. Hawk. He can be a hawk. He can be an owl. He can be a snake. He can be a rat. He can be a
gills,
weasel.
boy,
He
gills.
can be an octopus. He can be an
gills,
octopus.
But that'll do.
He can be a fish. He can be a fish. A quipper. Yes. He picks up Scooter. I am so sorry.
He goes.
But I will change you back at the earliest possible time.
All right. Good. That's something. He says.
All right. I need to get down there to cast a spell because once I transform him, obviously he won't be able to breathe the air.
Okay. Let's everybody take a breath for a second because that's a start. It's a damn sight better than what we've got so far. He says, but just getting a message to them, making sure they're alive, if they are, and I assume they are, doesn't get them out of there. Doesn't solve our other problem. You see,
there's gotta be.
He says, well, I've got an idea.
Okay.
He says, I was shoring up the resolve to go and do it myself, but with you breezing into town, Walter, and these friends of yours, if they're as formidable as your wife has led me to believe, it mightn't be the type of job that you should take on. He kind of frowns and he says, I don't have the means, I don't know how, but I know it's possible to create certain magics or potions that'll allow somebody to survive underwater for an extended length of time. He says, if there's anybody within spitting distance that can provide us with such a magical means. And he kind of frowns with a sense of gravity, and he says, well, I've been considering paying a visit to Granny Josephine. Walter, Granny Josephine, is...
Sorry about that.
Is an individual that resides about a half day's travel from Diamondvale, out in kind of like the forested, hilly wilds, in like a hermit's hut. She has been out there for as long as anybody can remember. She is well known to be she's just like this bizarre old crone that lives out in the woods, and she has been known. It's well known that she knows things. She knows magics. She can craft spells. She can create potions, and she has been known a time or two to trade in these sort of magical favors, these assistance for folks who go out and make the trip out to visit her. She is also regarded as kind of dangerous. Sometimes, rumor says, sometimes people go out to visit Granny Josephine and they don't come back. People who have seen her, have visited her, have often spoken of the sort of just sense of like unease and danger that they get off of her, but she has been known for the right price to help with something like this. And Henrik says, far be it from me for this to be my first option, but I'd bet anything that Granny Josephine can provide us with something that'll allow surviving underwater, at least enough to get to those boys and get them back.
Alright, can you draw me a map?
I heard, can you draw me a map? I didn't hear what Walter said.
Say it's only half a day.
Yeah, I don't know if like Walter has ever encountered her. It's probably unlikely. I think you would know.
I feel like Walter knows of her and the general direction, but not exactly where, and probably has never visited on principle.
He says, I've seen her once. I can direct you to her.
Alright,
what does she like?
Kind of shakes his head. He says, if any of the stories are believed, she's like to ask for just about anything. Favors, coin, objects, weird stuff. Can't rightly say.
I have some things that might be of interest to her. Alright, Walter, you are better off helping with the digging. Bram will have used up his ability to heat metal pretty soon. I can take him with me.
Yeah, I'll go help with the digging effort. Unless I'm gonna turn to Henrik. Unless you think we all should go. There's four of us.
Sort of raises two shaggy eyebrows and says, I don't know that I'd tell you what to do, but were it me, I'd bring as many dangerous type individuals as I can to deal with her.
I'm just gonna give him one solid clap on the shoulder. I gotta get a Goliath out of the ground, and then I'm gonna start walking.
All right, you get Ozrius. I'll go get Bram.
I'll go get Ozrius and Jan.
Alrighty. So as you guys sort of part your separate ways.
Well, I mean, we have to pass by the smithy anyway, so we'll collect Bram on the way.
Smithy is further up this hill than here.
Yeah, you go get Bram. Go get Ozrius. I'll get Bram.
Coming back together. I think that's a good place. We'll take a quick break. We can sort out Kurtis's dang camera again. I heard the door indicating that my wife just got home, so I'll go say hello to her. Give everybody a chance to get refresh their drinks, stretch their legs. Jason can explore the featureless abyss.
The
that
endless
he's
expanse of
in
the void.
here. And we will be back in just a couple minutes. So thank you.
I deserve this.
Thank you for sticking with us tonight. Somebody in chat says that Granny Josephine sounds like their kind of lady. So be sure to give a peek to our sponsors, Little Dragon Corp and Cardboard Castle with exclamation point.
I knew who said
Yeah.
that before.
Exclamation
I even
point
looked at chat.
CGC and exclamation point Little Dragon. You can peruse their website for the next couple of minutes while we are on break, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. hello. We return. Kurtis' camera's fixed. Jason's still in the featureless
Think
void.
so.
And the crew is still in the town of Diamondvale. There's Kurtis is doing aggressive dabbing or karate, one of the two. I'm not sure.
Karate.
Why not both?
Oh,
Why not Zoidberg? Okay, how do I... This. Let's adjust our Diamondvale map a little bit to give you the full...
It's Curtis's new form of martial arts, which is just a mix of karate and aggressive dabbing.
Yep. I could see it. I guess Walter was coming to get me.
Depending on how you want to play it, I figure like we can just fast forward through the part where I traverse the mines and say hi to Elliot real fast, and then like
narrate,
teleport down the road real fast.
The entire portion of I think we'll drop you guys back at the the staging area out at the outside, the exterior of Mine 2, where you guys have gathered, and Ozrius and Jan have come up. Eli, we'll say, came up with you guys. So you, the group of you, as well as Eli and the town overseer, have sort of like convened together again at this point.
All right, we have maybe a plan.
Mm-hmm.
I have a spell that will at least let us give us a chance to find out whether or not they're still there. But the other part of the plan is going to visit. What was your name again? Josephine?
Old Lady Josephine. Sounds right. On uttering her name, do they give any kind of reaction?
Kind of frowns and he says, "This was Henrik's idea, I assume."
Yes,
we lost enough people down in the mines. I'd rather risk that.
He doesn't seem like he likes it, but he doesn't argue with you. He says, "Blasted if it's not the only option."
At worst, I'd like to give them a proper burial.
Shakes his head. He says, "I refuse to believe those men are dead yet. Not yet."
Well, I got a way to find out for sure. You guys go over the particulars of the plan. I'm gonna head down and trade out a weasel for a fish. I need a waterproof bag. I need quill, ink, and parchment.
They're able to provide you
and
all of that in pretty short order.
You may want octopus, since it can go on land for a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thinking. Aelar will follow a miner down into the right to the edge of the there. Set everything out. Light the brazier. Cast a spell. Set direct Scooter into the brazier. Poof. Scooter the weasel goes bye-bye. And Scooter the octopus.
I thought for sure
slithers
Adam
out.
was about to like produce an octopus.
I wish I
thought the exact same thing. He leaned
the other
down, and I was
in
like,
such a way that I was like, did he get an octopus during break? What?
I wish I had one, but I don't. I don't even have a fish. If I had had a fish, I would have just been like, he will attach, he'll set the bag in one of Scooter's tentacles. All right. And set him into the water.
You can warg into him.
The octopus lifts
you can share his
four
senses.
limbs. It goes, does a quad salute, and then like heads off into the mine shaft and disappears under the water.
All right. He looks to the miner next to him. When he comes back, he'll have that bag. If there's writing in there, we'll know. If there's nothing, we'll know.
Man nods. Aye, if you say so.
I just imagine this.
Yeah, this man has never.
I wish I
never
had
seen an
octopus
octopus
in a
before.
little derby cap. I was like, I imagine an octopus in a derby cap comes back with like a pen and like a bag full of like notes, and just is like expecting a tip.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why that image was in my head, but like.
Yes, he has picked up a miner's hat from somewhere.
Maybe off the corpses. Anyway.
Hopefully not off the corpses, but Aelar awaits the tense moment.
Go ahead and make a. Let's just call this a survival check for the octopus.
All right, give me one
The octopus
second.
should have the stat block, yeah.
Yeah, give me 1 second to look up the octopus D&D 5e stat block. All right. Water breathing, can breathe only underwater. Can hold its breath for 30 minutes. Incline, wisdom. Okay, no benefits. Okay, so we're just rolling straight.
Boy.
19.
Scooter the Celestial Cephalopod
Octopus.
Descends into the dark, murky water of the flooded mine shaft. And 5 minutes pass. 10 minutes pass. 20 minutes pass. And you know, because you can sense him still through your link, you know that Scooter has not befallen any harm. So you just wait. And eventually, several tentacles out of the water, and with a sort of a shuffing, a very mud-covered Scooter the Celestial Cephalopod pulls himself back up onto dry land, sealed bag in tow.
Good boy, good boy. He's going to pat him on the head and dismiss him, since we're going to be traveling overland. Aelar quickly undoes the bag and looks at the parchment.
You begin to pull out the parchment. Instantly, the miner that you came down here with, along with several others who, like, word has spread to of this goings on, like, are now crowding around you, like, looking over your shoulder. And you pull the parchment out, and there is writing on it.
Ah!
It says, in a very shaky hand, "We're alive." It says, "Weller's leg broke. Stavros has the fever. Please hurry."
They're all alive. A couple of them are hurt, but all of them are alive. All right.
And like, there's already you can hear there's already men like running back to the other end of the shaft, to the lift, shouting ahead of you. That same call is going up across. You hear it like echoing throughout the mine, heading up. The call of, "They're alive! They're alive!" And minutes before Aelar like reaches the surface, the call comes like roaring out of the entrance to Mine 2 from above, as like it telephones its way up there, and two men come running out and come running over. They grab the overseer by the shoulders. Kind of, the man shakes him a little bit. He says, "They're alive! They're bloody alive!"
All right. When Aelar rejoins him, Now we make sure they stay that way. Let's go.
Overseer Garley kind of like he nods to you. You see that he is like exhausted to the point almost of collapsing. It looks like this like renewed fire is in his eyes. And he kind of looks at you and he says, "You bloody be careful out there. Granny Josephine is not something to be trifled with." He says, "But damn it, don't fail."
We'll come back.
As you guys begin to move, he turns and he begins calling to the others. He says, Walter and the others are working on something to get to the boys in there. Until they get back, we're going to keep doing everything we can to reach them. He says, "I know you're tired. I know you're in pain. But those are some of our own down there, and we're going to get them out. God damn it, we're going to get them out." And a kind of like renewed sort of cheer of like determination goes up across the miners, and these sort of like steadily declining morale that you had witnessed as you had been here before is like whipped back into shape, and everybody begins like moving with a renewed purpose. And you guys are Walter, you guys are able to proceed from here.
Knowing the direction, Aelar's probably double timing it.
I don't know where Jason just disappeared to.
No, I'm just off camera.
Anything else?
I just thought that was
you
funny.
guys need to do? People you need to talk to? Things you need to see to before you like beeline it out of town?
Okay. Nope. We got Jan in tow.
If you're bringing her with you, she'll come with you.
You know what?
Or you can.
I'm gonna have her babysit.
Okay, she'll stay at Walter's house. Alrighty. So you guys head out of town via the main road through it. You head north and exit the town and begin to move on into the foothills and the wilds. You follow sort of the direction that you were given from Henrik as well. Walter, you sort of know the general idea. It's like pretty much common knowledge among the townspeople here that like if you're gonna seek out Granny Josephine, you just head north from town and you peel off the main trail near like a certain landmark, a certain peak, and you just begin to like head up, and eventually you'll find the hut where she makes her home. So you guys travel on for a few hours, cover a handful of miles, and following these these adages and the directions that you have been given about where to locate this hut, you make your way to what you were sure is the right place. You ascend a little bit in elevation, not so high that there is any there's not like snow or anything like that. You're still well within like the tree line, and you kind of make your way into a portion of the wood that is a little bit seems maybe a little bit older. It's a little bit more gnarled. There is this it's kind of like dense lichenous growth that seems to have spread in patches around this particular grove of trees that you find yourselves in, making everything just seem to have a little bit of a rough and gnarled and kind of just fleeky, crusty texture to everything around you. And you make your way into a clearing within which there is a large overturned tree. Tree laying on the ground, extending out beyond the border of the grove, has created sort of almost an overhang as this massive chunk of earth, laced with all upturned, pulled roots, sticks at an angle out of the ground. And in the crook of that sort of hollow, the earth has been sort of mounded up a little bit, and then within that there is a cottage. It is weather-worn, it is moss-covered, it is kind of damp-looking, but there is a thin curl of smoke coming up out of the chimney in the back of it, indicating that it is currently occupied.
Okay, diplomacy first.
Yeah, I'll go introduce myself as a member of the town. Given the proximity, my name may carry weight. We'll see.
So if it's a good weight, but we'll back you up if things suddenly turn crazy.
So I'm gonna go up to the door, give it a solid. Granny Josephine, we need to speak with you, if you can.
You hear a little bit of a scuffling from inside for a few moments, and then the door opens to reveal, standing inside, the sweetest, tiniest, frailest little old lady you've ever seen. She is hunched almost double with age. Her face and hands are veined and lined with extreme age. Her eyes are sort of like a roomy, like milky color. Her hair is wispy and a little bit unkempt. She wears a very just sort of like, you can see that the hems are all kind of like frayed with extreme age of this this gown that she wears, this sort of matronly dress with a frock at the neck. She looks out at you and takes her eyes kind of focus for a moment, and she says, "Oh dear, company. How delightful. Come in, dear. Come in. I was just about to put the kettle on." And she like turns and sort of like totters back into the house, leaving the door open behind her.
I'm gonna like quiet gesture and then follow her in.
Aelar will follow. Hands away from the weapons.
Okay, so Walter, Aelar, enter. Bram and Oz, what are you guys doing?
I guess I'll enter
I will
too.
also-
But
So you guys like
hesitantly.
crowd into this cramped little cottage. Ozrius, you almost have to like
Yeah, being
sit.
I imagine Oz like butt scooting through the door.
Yeah, Oz
like,
almost
"Ah,
like
it's
if
cool,
Oz
it's
like
cool."
sits back on his butt on his haunches and like leans his like rests his like forearms on his knees and like hunches over, his head still almost comes to the ceiling in this house. It's short like for you guys even. You have to almost like tilt your head a little bit at an angle. The roof in the inside is like uneven. It's like lopsided in a bunch of places as it like sags down. Everything is covered in like all manner of just like strung up drying herbs and these like woven knotted sort of almost like dream catcher looking things are all over the place. There are dozens of these small I see like scattered across some of the tables and things in here and suspended up on strings in the walls. So there's dozens of these little like passels of what would look to be like animal hide little bags that have been like tied together with like string and have like symbols like knitted or carved into the leather of these little bags. There are a number of shelves with all manner of like bottles and jars and things. None of it is labeled in any discernible way. Everything is covered in like a layer of like dust. There is a single sturdy looking like wooden rocking chair in one corner. There is a large hearth that dominates almost like the entire back of this space. It's way too large for the size of this little cabin, and there's a big like cook pot hung over this fire, from which you can smell like it smells like some sort of like a wild game stew is cooking. It smells very aromatic, very well seasoned. And you can see as you enter, Granny Josephine is in the process of like hanging a kettle over the fire on a hook. And she kind of turns around and she says, come in. I'm afraid I don't have much in the way of seating. Yeah. Oh.
That's okay, Jack. Granny Josephine. We won't be bothering you too long.
She looks at I. She goes, oh. Whatever they're feeding you, it's working.
Hey Walter, can you? I'm getting a huge from this. Can you?
I'm sorry, Granny. I was wondering if you had any. I apologize for getting right to the point. I know it's rude. My name is Walter Gray. I'm from the town just around the bend here, and I was wondering if you could help us. Several of our boys got stuck in the mines, and the only way to get them out seems to be to go through impassable water. We were wondering if maybe you knew of any way to possibly breathe underwater.
This is how terrible. Let's see what old Granny Josephine can you think of. And she turns and heads back, and she grabs the tea kettle, and she moves over to one side of the cottage, and she brings several teacups out. They are all various states of like chipped or cracked, but she begins pouring the water into these cups, and then she grabs a little jar with like a lid that she pops off, and she reaches in and she pulls out a loose leaf tea bag, and with like shaking hands she like begins plopping these tea bags into these cups, and she moves to like a little central kind of table, shuffles a couple of things aside, and like pushes a little tray with these teacups onto it, and sort of gestures to you guys, to the teacups, while taking one for herself. And she...
Alright, I will accept the tea. I'll pick up one of the teacups and nod and thanks. Thank you.
She moves over and like sits in her rocking chair near the fire. She rocks back and forth for a couple of minutes, and she's sort of like got her nose over her steaming teacup as the leaves steep. And after what begins to be like a disconcertingly long period of time, she inhales deeply over the tea. She turns her gaze from the teacup to like scan over the four of you, and for a moment her eyes grow less roomy and unfocused and more clear and more sharp. And she says, Got a smell of destiny about you. And with a quick motion, she throws the contents of the teacup into the fire, which flares up for a moment. A brilliant magenta color. And then in that same quick motion, she flips the teacup over and slams it down on the like a little side table next to her. She picks up the teacup and sets it aside, and then leans in almost to the point of like putting her nose almost into the like sort of abstract Rorschach of like tea leaf gunk that she smacked out of the teacup, and she just stares down into this for a while. And she leans back and she says, terrible, terrible news indeed. 6 poor lads they are, cold and wet, alone in the dark. No, time isn't on your side at all. This'll have to be quick. Quick. Or they'll all be dead and gone. I can make you a potion. I'll let the drinker breathe underwater. This is something low Granny Josephine certainly can do. I won't even charge you anything for it.
That sounds
Yeah, she says.
right, Walter.
She says, of course, I'll need certain ingredients. Not so easy to come by.
If there are things that need to be gathered that are within within the forest or nearby, we'll certainly gather them for you.
Just one thing. Blood. Blood from a water naga. Can't make the potions without that.
Where would we find a water naga?
Oh, there's one living in a lake. About a mile or so from here. He says, if you can go there and bring me back the blood, I can create your potions. Easy as that.
Yes, easy as that. That sounds super easy. Right, Walter?
She like smiles and you see that she has like 3 teeth. And she says, oh, the size of you? One measly water naga shouldn't be a problem.
Aelar's trying to rack his brain and recall what he knows about water nagas. I guess Arcana check?
Let's call it a nature check.
Okay. That's a whole whopping 15.
You know that water naga are like big sea serpent snake monsters.
Okay. Intelligence?
I'm trying to think what the way to put.
I say I'm going to ask her directly. I was going to ask her directly if they can be reasoned with, and maybe struck a bargain.
She says, hard to reason with them. Smart, yes, but nasty creatures. She says, not to mention the amount of blood that I need. Don't think the dearie will be willing to part with it.
How many water skins worth do you need?
She says, oh, You lose quite a bit of it in the boil during the process of the potion, so a solid bucket or two should do the trick. She grins again. She says, by all means, they're terrible, nasty creatures. Better off to be rid of it anyway. She says, there is one thing, though. She says, Naga, terrible knack for muddling the mind. They have awful dangerous just by hearing their voices. She reaches into a cupboard and she pulls out a jar that she sets on the table, and you see that it has a bunch of beeswax in it. And she says, either stop the knocker from being able to speak, stop yourselves from being able to hear. She makes a gesture scooping into the beeswax jar and then sticking her fingers into her ears. She says, one way or the other will do the trick. Then just snicker-snack, off with its head, and bring old Granny Josephine back to the blood.
Doesn't sound suspicious at all. Weird. I love it. I immediately stick my fingers in the jar and put it.
So you do that, and immediately the world goes oh, and all you hear is
That's fine. That's fine.
That's alright. He doesn't want to listen to anything we say anyway.
Exactly. It's cool. Put me in the right direction of a monster, and I'll try to tear it in half. So
she reaches into a little fold of her apron, and she pulls out an extremely stale looking cookie and begins to nibble on it. She says, just head north a few miles, you'll spot the lake, figure out how to lure it on up out of the water, and take on care of it.
Well, thank you. We'll be back, hopefully, quickly.
She's already turned her back and is putting around doing other things, and she just gives you this sort of vague good luck.
Walking when we get close, I will deafen all three of us.
Okay.
Walking out the door with the honey in my ear, I say really loud. It was really weird the way that she was eating that cookie, right? It's
What?
Just start yelling it.
Okay. So, having visited and spoke with Granny Josephine, you guys head out of her hut and follow her directions onto a nearby lake, where she reports that there is a water naga living in its depths. She has tasked you with killing and returning several buckets of its blood to her so that she may craft potions of water breathing for you. As you trek on your way to this next leg of your adventure, that's where we'll end for tonight.
Nothing can ever be easy.
No. Especially killing people for old ladies.
This episode...
How can you say no to that tiny old lady?
I'll give you what you want. I'll give you what you want, but in order to do that, you have to literally kill the worst monster in the tri-state area.
And then give me their blood.
I need 2 buckets of blood.
She's definitely just a regular old lady, and there's nothing suspicious about her, and it's fine.
Is it gonna turn out to be like in the OG Fable where you have to get mushrooms for that witch, and it's just like
all of that cut out. I heard.
she's gonna be like,
I-
yeah, I guess.
I guess we'll find out next week on Dragon Ball Z.
So thank you guys for sticking with us tonight. It's good to be back. Good to be D&Ding again after some time off.
Great.
I enjoyed getting to see Diamond Vale, getting to meet some of the Walter clan, and we find ourselves
And all of their mustaches.
all of the wide
Both
world of
mustaches.
mustaching. I wonder if Walter is distantly related to Walter.
Poop Stash 2021.
Poop stash.
Yeah. It was a hell of a week back, so thank you for sticking with us tonight as Kurtis's camera breaks one more time.
He's like, yeah, I'm done with this.
Well,
Game's
on
over.
that note, have a good night, everybody. Thank you again to Proficiency Bonus for letting us come here and play every week. Thank you to you guys for sticking with us and hanging out in chat, and for all of the octopus emojis that I'm seeing now. And of course, as always, thank you to Little Dragon Corp and Cardboard Castle. We will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Scooter loves you too.
Scooter the Celestial Cephalopod. Next week we will be back with the High Seas adventure, where we will pick up immediately following a high-speed Grand Theft Nautica.
Grand Theft
Grand Theft
Nautica, yeah.
Oh, it was a drive-by boating, dear.
Oh, it was a drive-by boating. All right, well, good night. We'll see you all next week, where Granny Josephine may become Mrs. Doubtfire the next time we see her. We'll see. But
Euphigenia Josephine.
we love you very much. We'll see you next time, and have a good night. Bye.